What's something only kids who grew up poor would understand? I remember when our class got food poisoning from the cafeteria lunch. It started during third period when Brianna Kowalski raised her hand and asked to go to the nurse, her face pale and sweaty. By fourth period, half the class was gone. The intercom crackled to life every few minutes with another name being called to the office for early dismissal. Everyone was complaining about the mystery meat they'd served at lunch. It tasted weird, Dexter said, rubbing his stomach dramatically. My mom is going to sue the school, announced Mackenzie. Parents were calling the school furious. The whole grade was sent home early by noon. Everyone seemed outraged except me. See, when you grow up poor, you know that free lunch isn't just lunch. It's often the only real meal you'll get that day. While other kids were disgusted and swearing off school food forever, I was quietly calculating how many hours until breakfast, doing the familiar math of hunger in my head. I walked home slowly, hoping maybe mom had managed grocery shopping this week. The kitchen told the story before I even opened the fridge. The familiar sight greeted me: a nearly empty jar of peanut butter with the sides scraped clean, some stale crackers, and half a carton of milk that smelled questionable. Mom was at the kitchen table with her calculator and a stack of bills spread out like a losing hand of cards. She looked up when I came in early. "Everything okay, baby?" "Food poisoning," I said simply. "Whole class got sick." She just nodded, understanding immediately what that meant for dinner. "There's peanut butter," she offered quietly, her voice carrying that particular tone of mothers who wish they could offer more. "I'm not really hungry," I lied. We both knew better. Hunger was like a third person in our house, always present, rarely acknowledged directly. The next morning, I showed up to school early, my stomach gnawing at itself, hoping they'd resolved whatever contamination issue had shut down the cafeteria. I practically ran down the hallway toward the lunch line, only to stop short at a hastily printed sign: "Kitchen closed for deep sanitization." My heart sank. No breakfast. Probably no lunch either. That's when Mrs. Gutierrez, the school secretary, appeared beside me like an angel in a floral dress. She was a small woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Hungry?" she asked simply, not making a big show of it. When I nodded, she handed me a brown bag with neat creases that showed someone had taken time to fold it properly. "My husband packed extra again. He always makes too much," she said with a gentle shrug. Inside was a full sandwich with thick slices of roast beef, apple slices that were still crisp, and homemade cookies still warm from the oven. I wanted to cry right there in the hallway. The cafeteria stayed closed for 3 days. Each morning, Mrs. Gutierrez had another extra lunch from her husband, who always packs too much. Ham and cheese one day, turkey the next, always with something special tucked inside. On the 4th day, when the cafeteria reopened, I tried to thank her properly. She just smiled and waved away my stammered gratitude. "My husband really does pack too much. Old habit from when our kids were home," she said. Years later, I became a teacher myself. One day, while reminiscing during lunch duty, I mentioned Mrs. Gutierrez to a colleague who'd worked at the school longer. They laughed and said, "Oh yeah, her husband was famous for his extra lunches." Funny thing though, he worked nights at the factory and slept during the day. Never packed a lunch in his life. I understood then. Mrs. Gutierrez had been getting up early every morning during that crisis, making extra food, carefully packing those brown bags, pretending it was leftovers so kids like me could eat without shame. Now I keep granola bars in my desk and always seem to have extra snacks when certain students look tired during afternoon classes. Because if you grew up poor, you know hunger has a particular way of sitting in your stomach, and you recognize that same look in a child's eyes from across a classroom.